The neon buzz of the tattoo parlor hums in Lena's ears, a pulse that matches the whiskey burning in her throat. It's 2 a.m. and the Lower East Side is alive with chaos, laughter spilling from bars, the clatter of bottles, and the distant wail of a siren. She's in her element, inked-up arms steady as she wipes down her station, the antiseptic sting sharp in the air. But tonight something's off. Her chest aches, a hollow thud like a drum with no rhythm. Another breakup, another fight with her ex Jess, who stormed out hours ago, screaming about Lena's fear of forever. Then she walks in. Avery. All soft curls and hesitant steps, clutching a dog-eared book like it's armor. Lena notices her first, the way her glasses slip down her nose, the nervous tug at her sweater sleeve. 30 maybe, with eyes like warm coffee, searching the parlor like she's lost. Lena's used to drunks and daredevils at this hour, not librarians who look like they wandered in from a Jane Austen novel. You lost, sweetheart? Lena's voice is low, teasing, but there's a spark in it she doesn't expect. Avery blushes, her laugh a shaky exhale. I want a tattoo. Her voice is quiet but firm, like she's convincing herself. Something small, meaningful. Lena raises an eyebrow, leaning against the counter, the leather of her jacket creaking. First time. Avery nods, biting her lip. I need to do something reckless. For once. That's the hook. Lena's seen 1,000 stories walk through her door, but Avery's quiet rebellion hits like a freight train. She's not here for a trend or a bet. She's running from something or toward it. Lena doesn't ask. She just smirks, grabs her sketchpad and says, "Tell me what means something to you." An hour later, they're shoulder to shoulder, Lena's pencil scratching out a design. 2 vines twisting together, delicate but unbreakable. Avery's eyes light up, her fingers tracing the sketch like it's already part of her. It's perfect, she whispers, and Lena feels a jolt. Something dangerous, like the first sip of whiskey after a long night. The needle hums. Avery winces but doesn't pull away, her breath hitching as Lena works. The parlor's quiet now, just the buzz of the gun and the soft indie music Lena keeps on loop. She steals glances at Avery, her flushed cheeks, the way her lips part with each sharp inhale. Lena's hands are steady, but her heart's not. She's tattooed hundreds of people, but this feels different. Intimate. Like she's leaving a piece of herself on Avery's skin. When it's done, Avery stares at her wrist, the fresh ink glistening under the fluorescent light. It's beautiful, she says, voice thick with something Lena can't name. Glad you think so, Lena replies, her throat tight. She's about to say more when Avery, bold in a way that catches her off guard, grabs her hand. Do one for yourself, Avery says, eyes locked on Lena's. Matching. With me. Lena freezes. She's never gotten a tattoo on a whim, never matched with a stranger. But Avery's gaze is a challenge, a dare, and Lena's never backed down from one of those. You're crazy, she laughs, but she's already reaching for the needle. By 4 a.m. they're both marked, twin vines curling around their wrists, a reckless promise made in the heat of the night. They stumble out into the dawn, the city waking with a soft pink glow. Lena's pulse races as their shoulders brush, the cool morning air sharp against her skin. Avery's quiet, but her smile is electric, like she's just broken free from a cage. They don't know it yet, but that tattoo is more than ink. It's a chain, a vow, and it's about to turn their lives upside down. The diner across the street smells of burnt coffee and pancakes, the kind of place where the waitresses call you Han, and the jukebox plays Springsteen. Lena and Avery slide into a booth, their knees bumping under the sticky table. Lena's still buzzing from the night, her new tattoo throbbing under a layer of wrap. Avery's fidgeting, her fingers tracing the edge of her bandage like it's a secret she's not sure she's ready to keep. So, Lena starts, her voice rough from lack of sleep. What's the story? Nobody gets their first tattoo at 2 a.m., unless they're running from something. Avery's laugh is soft, like wind chimes in a storm. Maybe I'm running toward something, she says, but her eyes drop to the table, and Lena catches the shadow there. "Spill," Lena says, leaning forward, her elbows on the table. The diner's hum fills the silence. Clinking plates, a distant cough, the sizzle of bacon on the grill. Avery sighs, a sound so heavy it feels like it could crack the formica. "My mom passed last month," she says finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "She was everything. Kept me grounded. Kept me safe. But now," she trails off, her fingers tightening around her coffee mug. "I've spent my whole life playing it safe. Following rules. Being the good daughter. I needed to do something that was mine." Lena's chest tightens. She knows that kind of loss, the kind that leaves you untethered, drifting. Her own mom's been gone 10 years, and the ache never quite fades. "So you walked into my shop and got inked," she says, trying to keep it light. "Bold move, librarian." Avery's lips twitch into a smile. "You don't know the half of it." They talk until the sun's fully up, the diner filling with morning regulars. Lena learns Avery's a small-town girl from Ohio, moved to New York for a fresh start after her mom's death. She learns Avery loves poetry, hates loud noises, and has a laugh that makes Lena's stomach flip. Avery learns Lena's a city kid, born and raised in Brooklyn, with a chip on her shoulder and a heart she guards like a fortress. By the time they leave, the tattoos feel heavier, like they're not just ink but a shared secret. Lena's not sure what's happening, but she knows one thing. She doesn't want Avery to walk away. Not yet. As they step into the morning light, Avery hesitates, her hand brushing Lena's wrist where the tattoos match. "This was crazy, right?" she says, her voice soft but searching. Lena grins, her heart pounding like a bass line. The best kind of crazy. But crazy has consequences, and theirs is just beginning. The city hums around Lena and Avery as they walk down Bleecker Street. The morning air crisp with the bite of autumn. Lena's boots scuff against the pavement, a steady rhythm against the distant honk of taxis and the chatter of early risers. Avery's beside her, her sweater sleeves pulled over her hands, hiding the fresh tattoo that's already starting to feel like a brand. Lena steals a glance, those soft curls catching the sunlight, the way Avery's lips purse when she's thinking too hard. It's disarming, how someone so quiet can take up so much space in her head. They stop at a crosswalk, and Avery's voice breaks the silence. "Do you ever regret a tattoo?" she asks, her eyes on the bandage peeking out from Lena's sleeve. Lena snorts, shoving her hands in her pockets. Regrets for suckers. Every mark's a story. But her voice catches just a fraction, and she wonders if Avery hears it. The truth is, she's never done something this impulsive. Not with a stranger. Not with someone who makes her pulse race like a runaway train. Avery nods, but her fingers fidget with her sleeve, and Lena knows she's not convinced. I don't even know you," Avery says, her laugh shaky. "And now we've got this." She holds up her wrist, the bandage crinkling. What if it was a mistake? Lena's stomach twists. She wants to brush it off, to say it's just ink, but the weight of those vines feels heavier now, like they're pulling them closer, or pushing them apart. "You think it was a mistake?" she asks, her voice sharper than she means. Avery's eyes widen. "No, I don't know." She exhales, a puff of breath visible in the cool air. "It's just big. Permanent." Lena steps closer, her boots scuffing to a stop. "Nothing's permanent," she says, but the words feel like a lie. She can still feel the buzz of the needle, the way Avery's gaze held hers in the parlor, like they were the only two people in the world. They keep walking, the tension simmering like the city itself. Lena's phone buzzes in her pocket. Probably Jess, her ex, ready to start another fight. She ignores it. Avery's quiet, but her shoulder brushes Lena's, and it's enough to keep Lena grounded, at least for now. By noon, they're at Lena's favorite coffee shop. A hole in the wall with mismatched chairs and the smell of roasted beans thick in the air. The barista, a guy with a man bun and too many piercings, gives Lena a knowing nod. She's a regular, but today with Avery across from her, sipping a latte and leaving a foam mustache on her lip, Lena feels like she's seeing the place for the first time. So, Avery says, wiping her mouth with a napkin. Why tattoos? You could have been, I don't know, a painter. Or a rock star. Lena laughs, the sound rough and real. Rock star's not a bad idea. But tattoos, they're raw. Honest. You wear your story on your skin. No bullshit. She leans back, her chair creaking. My mom used to say I was born with a pen in my hand. Guess I just traded it for a needle. Avery's eyes soften, and Lena feels that jolt again, like a spark in her chest. That's beautiful, Avery says, and Lena wants to roll her eyes, but she can't. Not when Avery's looking at her like that, like she sees past the leather and the bravado. What about you? Lena asks, deflecting. What's a librarian doing getting inked at 2 a.m.? Avery's smile fades just for a second. I told you about my mom, she says, her voice low. She was strict. Loved me, but she had this idea of who I was supposed to be. Good job, good girl, no waves. I never told her she hesitates, her fingers tightening around her cup. You know, into women. Lena's heart skips. She guessed, maybe hoped, but hearing it out loud hits different. She didn't know? Avery shakes her head, her curls bouncing. I wanted to tell her. I almost did so many times. But then she got sick, and it felt selfish. Her voice cracks and Lena's hand twitches, wanting to reach across the table. That's rough, Lena says, her voice softer than usual. But you're here now, doing what you want. That's something. Avery's eyes meet hers, and there's a spark there, gratitude maybe, or something deeper. Yeah, she says. It is. The day stretches on, and they wander the city like it's theirs. They hit a bookstore where Avery lights up like a kid, pulling poetry collections off the shelves and reading lines aloud in a voice that makes Lena's skin hum. They grab hot dogs from a street vendor, the mustard sharp and the buns warm, and Lena teases Avery for getting sauce on her chin. By dusk, they're at the Hudson River, the water reflecting the city's lights like 1,000 tiny stars. Lena's phone buzzes again, just relentless. This time she checks it. We need to talk. You can't keep running. Lena's jaw tightens. She's not running. She's right here with Avery with this tattoo that's starting to feel like a lifeline. You okay? Avery asks, her voice cutting through the noise in Lena's head. Yeah, Lena lies, pocketing her phone. Just drama. Avery nods, but her eyes are sharp, like she sees more than Lena's letting on. You want to talk about it? Lena laughs, bitter. Not much to say. Just thinks I'm scared of commitment. She's not wrong. She kicks a pebble into the water, the plink loud in the quiet. But I'm not the one who walked out. Avery's quiet for a moment, then reaches for Lena's hand. Her touch is soft, tentative, but it sends a jolt through Lena's veins. You're not scared, Avery says, her voice steady. You're here. With me. That's not nothing. Lena's breath catches. She wants to pull away to crack a joke, but Avery's hand is warm, and the tattoo on her wrist pulses like a heartbeat. For the first time in years, Lena doesn't feel like running. But then her phone buzzes again and the spell breaks. Jess's name lights up the screen, and Lena knows this night, this reckless, perfect night, is about to crash into reality. The Hudson River glitters under the city lights, but the air between Lena and Avery feels heavier now, like the weight of unspoken words. Lena's phone sits in her pocket like a grenade, Jess's messages burning a hole through her resolve. Avery's hand is still in hers, warm and steady, but Lena's pulse races with a mix of want and fear. The tattoo on her wrist itches, a reminder of the impulsive vow they made in the dark. You gonna answer that? Avery asks, her voice soft but pointed, nodding toward Lena's pocket. The wind carries the scent of the river, briny, sharp, and a distant ferry horn cuts through the quiet. Lena exhales a rough sound. Not now, she says, but her fingers twitch, betraying her. She pulls her hand away from Avery's, shoving it into her jacket. It's just baggage. Avery's lips press into a thin line, but she doesn't push. Instead, she turns to the water, her curls catching the breeze. We all have baggage, she says almost to herself. Doesn't mean we have to carry it alone. Lena's chest aches. She wants to spill everything about Jess, about the fights, about the way she spent years building walls so high no one can climb them. But Avery's standing there, all soft edges and quiet strength, and Lena's terrified of what happens if she lets her in. Let's keep moving, Lena says, her voice gruff. There's a bar nearby. Live music. You in? Avery hesitates, then nods, a small smile breaking through. Yeah, I'm in. The bar is a dive, all sticky floors and dim lights, with a band playing gritty blues that makes the air hum. Lena orders whiskey for herself and a gin and tonic for Avery, who raises an eyebrow but takes it with a shy grin. They find a corner booth, the wood scarred with initials and half-hearted carvings. The music's loud, but it's not enough to drown out the tension simmering between them. So, Avery says, sipping her drink, the ice clinking against the glass. Tell me about Jess. Lena stiffens, the whiskey burning her throat. Not much to tell. We were together 2 years. Fought more than we loved. She left. She shrugs, but it's forced, like she's trying to shake off a ghost. Avery leans forward, her eyes searching. She's still texting you, though. That's not nothing. Lena laughs, sharp and bitter. Yeah, well, Jess doesn't know when to quit. She takes another swig, the burn grounding her. She thinks I'm the problem. Says I'm too closed off, too scared to let anyone in. Avery's quiet, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass. Are you? The question lands like a punch. Lena's jaw tightens, and for a second she wants to snap, to walk away. But Avery's gaze is steady, not accusing, and Lena feels something crack inside her. Maybe, she admits, her voice barely audible over the guitar riff. But I'm here, aren't I? Avery's smile is small, but it's enough to ease the knot in Lena's chest. Yeah, she says. You are. They talk over the music, the conversation weaving through lighter things. Avery's love for old vinyl records, Lena's obsession with late-night food trucks. But the tattoo on Lena's wrist feels alive, pulsing with every laugh, every brush of Avery's knee against hers. It's reckless, this pull between them, and Lena's not sure if it's the whiskey or the ink, but she's starting to think she doesn't care. Later, they're outside again, the night air cool against their skin. The bar's neon sign buzzes overhead, casting a red glow over Avery's face. Lena's a little drunk, her steps uneven, but Avery's steady, her arm looped through Lena's like it's the most natural thing in the world. Your trouble, Lena says, her voice slurring just enough to make Avery laugh. Me. Avery teases, her eyes sparkling. You're the one who gave me a tattoo at 3 a.m. Lena grins, but it fades when her phone buzzes again. She pulls it out this time, the screen glaring in the dark. Jess. I'm at your place. We need to talk. Now. Lena's stomach drops. She locks the phone, but Avery's already seen her face. Jess. Avery asks, her voice quiet but sharp. Yeah, Lena says, her throat tight. She's at my apartment. Avery's expression shifts, hurt, maybe, or something close to it. You should go, she says, stepping back, her arm slipping from Lena's. Sounds like she needs you. She doesn't need me. Lena snaps, harsher than she means. She doesn't get to do this. Show up and ruin. She stops, catching herself. Ruin what? This night. This thing with Avery that's barely started but already feels like too much? Avery's eyes soften, but there's a distance there now. Go figure it out, she says. I'll be fine. Lena wants to argue, to grab Avery's hand and keep her close, but the weight of Jess's message pulls her back. She nods, jaw tight. I'll call you, she says, but it sounds hollow, like a promise she's not sure she can keep. Avery just nods, her smile sad. You know where to find me. Lena's apartment is a 5th-floor walk-up, the kind of place where the radiator hisses and the floor creaks like it's telling secrets. Jess is waiting outside the door, her blonde hair pulled back, her eyes sharp with anger and something softer, regret, maybe. Lena's heart twists, but it's not the same as it used to be. Not like with Avery. You didn't have to come, Lena says, unlocking the door. The air smells of stale coffee and the faint tang of ink from her home studio. You didn't have to ignore me, Jess shoots back, following her inside. What's going on with you, Lena? You're out all night, getting tattoos with some random girl. Lena freezes, her hand brushing the bandage on her wrist. How do you? I saw you, Jess says, her voice breaking. On the street. With her. You looked happy. The word hangs in the air, heavy and accusing. Lena's chest tightens, the memory of Avery's laugh, her touch, crashing into Jess's pain. She doesn't know what to say, doesn't know how to explain the tattoo, the night, the way Avery's already under her skin. I don't owe you anything, Lena says finally, her voice low. You left, Jess. And you moved on in a heartbeat. Jess snaps, but her eyes are wet, and Lena feels the guilt like a knife. They argue, the kind of fight that's all sharp edges and old wounds. Jess wants closure, wants Lena to admit she's broken. But Lena's too raw, too tangled up in Avery's quiet courage and the tattoo that binds them. By the time Jess storms out, the apartment feels too small, too empty. Lena sinks onto the couch, her fingers tracing the vines on her wrist. She thinks of Avery, her soft voice, her reckless heart, and wonders if she's already lost her. Lena's apartment is too quiet after Jess leaves. The silence thick with the echo of their fight. The radiator hums a low, uneven drone, and the faint scent of ink lingers from her home studio. Lena's sprawled on the couch, staring at the ceiling, her wrist throbbing under the bandage. The tattoo feels alive, like it's whispering Avery's name with every pulse. She wants to call her, to hear that soft laugh, but her phone stays untouched on the coffee table. Instead, she closes her eyes, the memory of last night flooding back, the buzz of the needle, Avery's breath hitching, the way their hands brushed like a promise. Morning creeps in, gray light spilling through the blinds. Lena hasn't slept, her mind a tangle of Jess's accusations and Avery's quiet courage. She drags herself to the kitchen, the linoleum cold under her bare feet, and makes coffee strong enough to burn through the fog in her head. Her phone buzzes, another text, but not from Jess. It's Avery. You okay? Didn't hear from you. Lena's heart lurches. She types a reply, deletes it, types again. Yeah, just dealing with some stuff. You good? It's weak, but it's all she's got. Avery's response is instant. I'm at the library. Come find me if you want. Lena stares at the message, the coffee bitter on her tongue. She's not good at this, showing up, being vulnerable. But the thought of Avery, surrounded by books and quiet, pulls her like a magnet. The library smells of old paper and polished wood, a stark contrast to the city's chaos outside. Lena feels out of place, her boots too loud on the hardwood floor, her leather jacket creaking as she moves. She spots Avery behind the counter, her curls tied back, glasses perched on her nose as she sorts books. The sight hits Lena like a shot of whiskey, warm, sharp, disorienting. Avery looks up, her smile hesitant but real. You came, she says, her voice low to keep from disturbing the patrons. Couldn't stay away, Lena says, trying for casual but hearing the truth in her own words. She leans against the counter, her wrist brushing Avery's hand where their tattoos match. The touch sends a spark through her, and Avery's cheeks flush. Rough night? Avery asks, her eyes scanning Lena's face like she's reading one of her books. Lena shrugs, her throat tight. Jess showed up. Wanted to hash things out. Didn't go well. Avery's expression softens, but there's a flicker of something else. Jealousy maybe, or fear. You two, you've got history. Yeah, Lena says, her voice rough. But it's history. Done. She wants to believe it, but Jess's words still sting, clawing at the edges of her resolve. Avery nods, her fingers fidgeting with a bookmark. You don't have to tell me everything, she says. But I'm here. If you want me to be. Lena's chest aches, the kind of ache that feels like it could break her open. She wants to say something, to tell Avery how last night changed her, how the tattoo feels like a lifeline. But the words stick, so she just nods, her hand lingering near Avery's. They spend the afternoon in the library, Avery showing Lena her favorite stacks, poetry mostly with dog-eared pages and notes in the margins. Lena teases her about it, but she's secretly charmed, watching Avery's eyes light up as she reads a line from Auden or Plath. The library's quiet hum, pages turning, muffled footsteps, the faint creak of chairs grounds Lena, makes her feel like she can breathe for the first time in hours. But the peace doesn't last. Lena's phone buzzes again, and this time it's a voicemail from Jess, her voice raw and pleading. "Lena, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to push. Can we just talk? Please." Lena deletes it, but the weight of it lingers like a bruise she can't ignore. Avery notices, her brow furrowing. "You sure you're okay?" Lena forces a grin, but it's shaky. "Peachy. Just need a distraction." Avery's smile is small, conspiratorial. "I know a place," she says, grabbing her coat. "Come on." The place is a rooftop bar in Brooklyn, the kind with string lights and a view of the Manhattan skyline that makes your heart stop. The air's cold, but the drinks are strong, and the music, a soft acoustic set, wraps around them like a blanket. Lena and Avery share a table, their knees brushing under it, the tattoos on their wrists catching the light. "You ever feel like you're stuck?" Avery asks, her voice cutting through the hum of the crowd. She's on her second drink, her cheeks flushed, her usual shyness softened by the gin. "Like you made one choice and now it's defining you?" Lena thinks of the tattoo of Jess, of the way Avery's laugh makes her want to be someone better. "All the time," she says, her voice low. "But sometimes the choices you don't plan, they're the ones that save you." Avery's eyes meet hers, and for a moment, the world narrows to just them. The clink of glasses, the strum of a guitar, the city glittering below. Lena feels the pull again, stronger now, like the tattoos tying them together tighter with every second. Then Avery leans forward, her hand brushing Lena's wrist, her voice barely a whisper. "I'm glad I walked into your shop," she says. "Even if it was crazy." Lena's breath catches. She wants to kiss her, right there under the string lights, but the ghost of Jess lingers, and Lena's not sure she's ready to let go of the past. Not yet. The night ends with them walking back to Avery's place, a tiny apartment in Park Slope with books stacked on every surface. Lena lingers at the door, her heart pounding. "I should go," she says, but her feet don't move. Avery steps closer, her hand brushing Lena's. "You don't have to," she says, and the air crackles with possibility. Lena's phone buzzes again, shattering the moment. She doesn't check it, but the damage is done. She steps back, her voice rough. "I'll call you," she says, and this time she means it. But as she walks away, the tattoo burns, and she wonders if she's making the biggest mistake of her life. The city's a blur as Lena walks away from Avery's apartment, the streets of Park Slope quiet except for the occasional hum of a passing car. Her boots echo on the pavement, each step heavy with the weight of what she didn't say, what she didn't do. The tattoo on her wrist pulses, a quiet reminder of the night that's changed everything. Her phone's silent now, but Jess's presence lingers like cigarette smoke, clinging to her skin. Lena's not sure who she's running from, Jess, Avery, or herself. Back at her apartment, the air feels stale, the faint scent of ink and coffee doing nothing to calm her. She crashes onto the couch, her leather jacket still on, and stares at the bandage on her wrist. The vines seem to mock her, curling around her skin like a promise she's not sure she can keep. She thinks of Avery's hand in hers, the way her laugh felt like sunlight, and her chest aches with a longing she hasn't felt in years. Her phone lights up. A text from Avery. "Hope you're okay. Here if you need me." Simple, unguarded, and it cuts Lena deeper than Jess's voicemails ever could. She types a reply, then deletes it, her thumb hovering over the screen. Instead, she pulls up Jess's last message, the one she ignored at the rooftop bar. "I miss you, Lena. I messed up. Can we try again?" Lena's laugh is bitter, echoing in the empty room. Try again. As if it's that easy. As if Jess didn't walk out, didn't leave Lena picking up the pieces of a life she thought they'd build together. But the tattoo the night with Avery, it stirred something in Lena. Something that makes Jess's words feel like an anchor instead of a lifeline. Morning comes too fast, the city waking with the groan of traffic and construction. Lena's at her shop early, the buzz of the tattoo gun a familiar comfort as she preps for the day. The air smells of antiseptic and fresh ink, and the hum of the neon sign outside grounds her. But her mind's on Avery, on the way her eyes lit up in the library, on the rooftop bar where Lena almost kissed her. The bell above the door jingles and Lena's heart jumps, half hoping it's Avery. But it's just Zeryo. System. Jess, her ex-girlfriend, standing there with a look that's half defiance, half desperation. Lena's stomach churns but she keeps her face neutral, wiping down her tattoo gun with a rag that smells faintly of rubbing alcohol. "What do you want, Jess?" she asks, her voice flat though her heart's hammering. "I saw you with her," Jess says, stepping inside, her boots scuffing the worn linoleum. Her voice is low, raw, like she's been crying. "Last night. You look different. Happy." The word stings and Lena's grip tightens on the rag. "We're not doing this again," Lena says, tossing the rag aside. "You left. You don't get to show up now and act like I owe you something." Jess flinches but her jaw sets, stubborn as ever. "I know I screwed up, okay? But we had something real. 2 years, Lena. That doesn't just disappear." Lena's throat tightens. She wants to scream that it did disappear. The night Jess walked out, leaving Lena with nothing but a half-empty apartment and a heart full of cracks. But the tattoo on her wrist itches, a quiet reminder of Avery, of the reckless hope she felt in the diner's greasy light. "Jess, I can't," Lena says, her voice breaking. "I'm trying to move forward. You should too." Jess steps closer, close enough that Lena smells her familiar perfume, sandalwood and smoke. "You're scared," Jess says, her eyes searching Lena's. "I know you. You're scared to let anyone in, so you push them away. Like you're pushing me away now." The words hit like a slap, but before Lena can respond, the bell jingles again. It's Avery, her curls damp from the drizzle outside, her glasses fogging up slightly. She freezes when she sees Jess, her smile fading like a light switching off. "Lena." Avery's voice is soft, uncertain, and it slices through Lena's defenses. Jess turns, sizing Avery up with a look that's all sharp edges. "This her?" she asks, nodding toward Avery. "The one you got matching tattoos with?" Avery's eyes widen, darting to Lena's wrist, then her own. The air feels too thick, like the antiseptics choking them all. Lena wants to explain, to say something that'll fix this, but her voice is stuck, trapped behind years of guarding herself. "I should go," Avery says, stepping back toward the door, her hand brushing her bandage like it's a wound. "Wait," Lena says, her voice rough, desperate. But Avery's already gone, the bells jingle echoing like a gunshot. Jess crosses her arms, her smirk bitter. "You're gonna lose her too, you know? Just like you lost me." Lena's vision blurs, her chest tight with a mix of anger and fear. She grabs her jacket, the leather creaking, and storms out into the rain, her boots splashing through puddles. She needs to find Avery, needs to explain the tattoo, the night, the way it's carved something new into her soul. But the city's big and Avery's small, and Lena's terrified she's already too late. The rain's coming down harder now, soaking Lena's hair, her jacket, her heart. She finds herself at the library, the one place Avery feels like home. The air inside is warm, heavy with the scent of old books and wax polish. Avery's at the counter, her eyes red-rimmed behind her glasses, her hands sorting books with mechanical precision. "I'm sorry," Lena says, her voice raw, dripping like the rain outside. "Jess, she's my past. You're something else." Avery looks up, her expression guarded but soft, like she's waiting for Lena to break her again. "What am I, Lena?" she asks, her voice barely above a whisper. "A rebound? A mistake?" "No," Lena says, stepping closer, her boots leaving wet prints on the floor. You're the first thing that's felt right in a long time. That tattoo, it wasn't just a drunk whim. It's us. It's real. Avery's breath hitches, a sound so small it's drowned by the library's hum. Pages rustling, a distant cough. She lifts her wrist, the bandage gone now, revealing the delicate vines. You sure about that? She asks, her voice trembling but strong. Lena reaches out, her fingers brushing Avery's tattoo. The touch electric. I've never been more sure, she says, and for the first time she believes it. They stand there, the library quiet around them, the rain tapping the windows like a heartbeat. The tattoos bind them, a reckless vow made in the heat of the night, but now it's more, a promise to try, to fight, to stay. The library's hush wraps around Lena and Avery like a cocoon. The only sounds the soft patter of rain on the windows and the faint creak of the old wooden shelves. Lena's hand lingers on Avery's wrist, their matching tattoos, delicate vines twisting together, gleaming under the fluorescent light. The air smells of damp wool from Lena's soaked jacket and the musty comfort of old books. Avery's eyes, wide and wary behind her glasses, hold a question Lena's not sure she's ready to answer, but she's here, heart pounding like a drum in her chest. I don't know how to do this, Lena admits, her voice rough like gravel under her boots. I'm not good at letting people in, but I want to try. With you. Avery's breath catches, a sharp little sound that cuts through the quiet. She pulls her hand back, not far, just enough to cradle her wrist like it's fragile. Lena, I'm scared too, she says, her voice soft but steady like a candle flickering in a storm. I've spent my whole life hiding who I am. That night in your shop, it was the first time I felt free. Lena's throat tightens. She knows that feeling, the rush of breaking rules, of claiming something for yourself. She felt it too in the buzz of the needle, in the way Avery's laugh lit up the diner. You're not hiding now, Lena says, stepping closer, her boots squeaking on the polished floor. You're right here. Avery's smile is small, tentative, but it's enough to make Lena's chest ache with something warm, something dangerous. So are you, Avery whispers, and the space between them feels electric, like the air before a lightning strike. They leave the library together, stepping into the rain-soaked street, the city alive with the hiss of tires on wet pavement and the distant wail of a siren. Lena's jacket is heavy with water, but Avery's hand in hers is warm, grounding. They don't talk much as they walk to a nearby cafe, the kind with steamed-up windows and the smell of fresh pastries thick in the air. Inside, they slide into a booth, the vinyl creaking under them, and order coffee. Black for Lena, a latte for Avery, who predictably gets foam on her lip. You're a mess, Lena teases, reaching across to wipe it away with her thumb. Avery blushes, her laugh a soft chime that makes Lena's heart skip. They talk for hours, the conversation weaving through their fears, their dreams, the weight of the tattoos that bind them. Avery tells Lena about growing up in Ohio, about the small-town church where she learned to shrink herself, to keep her love for women locked away like a secret in a diary. Lena shares her own scars, losing her mom young, building walls to keep the pain out, falling for Jess only to watch it crumble. The tattoos, they realize, aren't just ink. They're a rebellion against the cages they've both lived in. I don't regret it, Avery says, her fingers tracing the vines on her wrist. Even if it's crazy. Even if it's scary. Lena grins, her first real smile all day. Good. 'Cause I'm not letting you go that easy. The days blur into weeks, and Lena and Avery fall into a rhythm that feels both new and inevitable. They spend evenings at Lena's shop, Avery reading poetry aloud while Lena sketches, the hum of the tattoo gun blending with her voice. They wander the city, Central Park, where the leaves crunch underfoot, Coney Island, where Avery screams on the roller coaster and Lena laughs until her sides hurt, quiet nights in Avery's apartment, surrounded by books and the smell of chamomile tea. But Jess doesn't vanish. Her texts come less often, but each one is a splinter, a reminder of Lena's old wounds. One night, as Lena and Avery lie tangled in Avery's bed, the sheets soft and warm, Lena's phone buzzes. She ignores it, but Avery's eyes flicker with doubt. You need to deal with her. Avery says, her voice gentle but firm, like a teacher correcting a mistake. Not for her. For you. Lena knows she's right. The next day she meets Jess at a diner. The same one where she and Avery sat that first morning. The air smells of grease and nostalgia, and Jess looks tired, her blonde hair pulled back, her eyes hollow. "I'm sorry," Lena starts, her voice steady despite the knot in her chest, "for how it ended. But I'm not going back. I'm building something new." Jess's jaw tightens but she nods, her fingers twisting a napkin into knots. "I just needed to know you're okay," she says, her voice cracking. "You are, aren't you?" Lena thinks of Avery, her laugh, her courage, the tattoo that ties them together. "Yeah," she says. "I am." Jess leaves without a fight, and for the first time, Lena feels the weight of her past lift just a little. Back at Avery's apartment, Lena finds her curled up with a book, the lamplight catching her curls. Lena doesn't say anything, just sits beside her, their shoulders brushing. The tattoos on their wrists align when they hold hands, the vines a quiet vow. "I told Jess it's over," Lena says, her voice low, like she's afraid to break the moment. "For good." Avery's eyes meet hers, bright with something that feels like hope. "What now?" she asks, her thumb brushing Lena's tattoo. Lena leans in, her lips grazing Avery's, soft and sure. "Now we keep going," she says. "Together." The kiss deepens, the room fading until it's just them, the tattoos, and the promise of something real. The city hums outside, but in here it's quiet, just the sound of their breathing and the beat of their hearts, inked together forever. The morning light filters through Avery's apartment, painting soft stripes across the hardwood floor. Lena's sprawled on the couch, one arm flung over her eyes, the other resting on her stomach where the tattooed vines on her wrist catch the sun. The air smells of fresh coffee and the faint lavender of Avery's shampoo, a mix that's become Lena's favorite kind of morning. Avery's in the kitchen, humming a tune Lena doesn't recognize, her curls bouncing as she flips pancakes on a griddle that sizzles and pops. The domesticity of it all feels foreign to Lena, like stepping into a movie she never thought she'd star in. "You're gonna burn those," Lena calls, her voice thick with sleep and a grin she can't shake. Avery turns, spatula in hand, her glasses slipping down her nose. "You're gonna eat them anyway," she shoots back, her smile bright enough to rival the sunrise outside. Lena laughs, the sound easy, unguarded, and it hits her how much has changed in just a few weeks. The tattoo on her wrist, once a reckless whim, now feels like a compass, pointing her toward Avery. They eat breakfast at the tiny kitchen table, knees bumping, syrup sticking to their fingers. Avery talks about a new poetry collection at the library, her hands waving like she's conducting an orchestra, and Lena listens, her heart full in a way she's still getting used to. The city hums outside, car horns, a distant jackhammer. But in here it's just them building something steady, something real. Their days settle into a rhythm, like a song they're both learning the words to. Lena's shop is busier now. The buzz of the tattoo gun a constant undercurrent as she inks stories onto strangers' skin. Avery stops by after her shifts, bringing coffee or a book to read in the corner, her presence a quiet anchor. One evening Lena sketches a new design. A small bird, wings spread to add to their matching tattoos. She shows it to Avery, her hand steady but her pulse racing. "For us?" Avery asks, her voice soft, her fingers tracing the sketch. "If you want," Lena says, trying for casual but failing. "Thought it could mean freedom. You know, from the cages we both lived in." Avery's eyes glisten and she nods, pulling Lena into a hug that smells of paper and warmth. "Let's do it," she whispers, and Lena feels like she's flying. They ink the birds that night, Lena's hands careful on Avery's skin. Avery's trust a gift Lena's still learning to accept. The needle hums, the pain sharp but sweet, and when it's done, their wrists tell a story of vines and wings, of roots and release. But the past doesn't stay buried. Lena's out with Avery at a farmer's market one Saturday, the air thick with the scent of apples and fresh bread, when she sees Jess across the stalls. Her blonde hair's shorter now, her posture stiff, but her eyes lock on Lena's like a missile. Avery notices her hand tightening in Lena's, the tattooed vines pressing together like a shared pulse. "You want me to stay?" Avery murmurs, her voice steady despite the tension in her shoulders. Lena shakes her head, squeezing Avery's hand. "I got this," she says, and she means it. She crosses the market, her boots crunching on gravel, and faces Jess head-on. "You look good," Jess says, her voice softer than Lena expects, her hands stuffed in her pockets. "Happy?" "I am," Lena says, and it's not a jab, just truth. "You okay?" Jess shrugs, her smile bittersweet. "Getting there. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for pushing you when you weren't ready." Lena's chest tightens, but it's not the old ache, just a memory of it. "I'm sorry too," she says, "for not being what you needed." They part with a nod, no fireworks, no drama, just two people letting go. Lena walks back to Avery, who's holding a bag of apples, her eyes searching but warm. "Everything good?" Avery asks, her voice a lifeline. "Yeah," Lena says, taking an apple and biting into it, the juice sweet on her tongue. "Everything's good." That night they're on Avery's rooftop, the city sprawling below like a canvas of lights. The air's crisp, carrying the faint smoke of a nearby chimney, and Lena pulls Avery close, their tattoos aligned under the stars. They talk about the future. Maybe a trip to the coast, maybe a shared apartment, maybe more ink to tell their story. "You ever think about that night?" Avery asks, her head on Lena's shoulder, her breath warm against Lena's neck. "All the time," Lena says, her fingers tracing the bird on Avery's wrist. "Best mistake I ever made." Avery laughs, the sound bright and free, and Lena knows this is it. The life she didn't plan but can't imagine living without. The tattoos aren't just ink. They're a map, a promise, a home. The tattoo shop's neon sign buzzes softly, casting a pink glow over the Lower East Side as Lena locks up for the night. The air's sharp with late autumn chill, and her breath clouds as she steps outside, her leather jacket creaking. Avery's waiting across the street, leaning against a lamppost, her curls catching the light like a halo. She's got a scarf wrapped tight, her glasses reflecting the city's pulse, and Lena's heart does that stupid flip it's been doing for months now. The tattoos on their wrists, vines and birds, feel like a secret only they share, a story etched in skin. "You're late," Avery teases, her voice muffled by the scarf but warm, like the coffee she's holding out to Lena. "Worth the wait," Lena shoots back, taking the cup, their fingers brushing, the tattoos aligning for a split second. The city hums around them, taxis honking, a street busker strumming a guitar, but Lena only hears Avery's laugh, soft and bright like a bell. They walk toward their favorite diner, the one where it all started, its windows fogged with grease and warmth. Inside, the air smells of pancakes and nostalgia, and they slide into their usual booth, the vinyl worn but familiar. Lena orders whiskey with her coffee. Avery sticks to tea, her fingers tapping the table like she's nervous. "What's up?" Lena asks, leaning forward, her boots nudging Avery's under the table. Avery exhales, a puff of breath that smells faintly of chamomile. "I got offered a job," she says, her voice steady but her eyes flickering. "Head librarian. It's in Seattle." Lena's stomach drops, the whiskey souring in her throat. "Seattle," she repeats, the word heavy, like the rain that started tapping the diner's windows. "That's far." "Yeah," Avery says, her fingers tracing the vines on her wrist. "But it's a chance to start fresh. Somewhere new. Somewhere we could." She trails off, her cheeks flushing. "I want you to come with me." The words hang there, bold and terrifying, like the moment Lena first pressed the needle to Avery's skin. She thinks of New York, the chaos, the noise, the shop that's been her anchor. Then she looks at Avery, at the bird inked on her wrist, wings spread like it's ready to fly. Lena spent years running from commitment, from roots, but Avery's different. Avery's home. "That's a big ask," Lena says, her voice rough, but she's already picturing it. Rainy Seattle streets, a new shop, Avery's books stacked in a shared apartment. I know, Avery says, her hand reaching for Lena's, their tattoos pressed together. But we're already stuck together, right? She smiles, and it's the kind of smile that makes Lena want to be brave. They spend weeks planning, the decision settling like ink into skin. Lena sells her shop to a friend, someone who'll keep its spirit alive. Avery packs her books, her apartment a maze of boxes and memories. They get one last tattoo before they go. A tiny star, added to the vines and birds, a nod to the nights they've spent under the city's glow. Lena's hands are steady as she inks Avery's wrist, the buzz of the needle a song they both know by heart. When Avery takes the gun to add the star to Lena's wrist, her hands shake, but Lena trusts her, loves her for it. The move is chaos, rental trucks, endless coffee, arguments over whose couch to keep. But it's their chaos, and Lena finds herself laughing more than she ever has. Avery's voice a constant through the noise. Seattle's different, quieter, greener, the air sharp with pine and salt. They find a place near the water, a small apartment with a view of Puget Sound, and Lena sets up a new shop, its walls already filling with sketches of their story. 1 year after that reckless night, they're on a Seattle beach, the waves crashing soft and steady, the air tasting of salt. Lena's boots sink into the sand and Avery's barefoot, her toes curling in the cold. Their tattoos are faded but vivid, a map of vines, birds, and stars that tell of a night that changed everything. We did it, Avery says, her voice almost lost in the wind, her hand tight in Lena's. We're here. Lena pulls her close, their tattoos pressed together. A vow made in ink and kept in love. Forever, she says, and for once the word doesn't scare her. It feels right, like the hum of a needle, the warmth of a diner, the weight of a life they've built together. They kiss as the sun sets, the sky blazing orange and pink. The tattoos a promise that's held true. The city's behind them, but they're enough, 2 women, 2 tattoos,